Irving and Curry, one-on-one. Irving puts it up. It's good! Kyrie Irving from downtown!
Kyrie Irving is the greatest ball handler in the history of the NBA. That's not an opinion. It's a fact. Everyone knows he can do magic when he has the ball in his hands, making him arguably the most skilled point guard to ever walk the planet. But while we know that his handles and finishing skills are at the apex, Kyrie was seemingly at his best in 2016 when he won his first NBA championship. And it takes a real wizard to do what he did that season. There's a reason Kyrie Irving, even after playing only 11 games with Duke as a freshman, was the unquestioned #1 overall pick in 2011. There was simply no other guard like him, especially for someone who was just coming out of college. Irving had the ball handling skills, quickness, and finishing skills of a seasoned vet. And the Cleveland Cavaliers were simply too lucky that they landed the #1 overall pick that season. The Cavs were still reeling and recovering from the post-LeBron James drama. The decision almost killed the franchise overnight, causing a major meltdown during the 2010-11 season. But that meltdown landed them the unquestionable best player of the 2011 draft when they didn't hesitate to draft Irving out of Duke with their first overall pick. It became clear that Kyrie was going to be their new franchise player because he had the skills and the flashiness of a true superstar. It didn't take Irving long to acclimate himself to the NBA. His handles were already better than almost any other point guard in the league.
Oohs and ahs from the crowd here at the Q. Kyrie back the other way. The bottom! They're putting on a show!
Take note that during his rookie year, he was playing against Hall of Fame level point guards like Chris Paul and Steve Nash. And yet, people were dazzled by his ability to handle the ball and perform moves no rookie point guard should ever be doing. Kyrie's ability to handle the ball, get to the basket at will, and put his defenders on skates turned him into a household name overnight. He was already a fan favorite player as a rookie, and it wasn't a shocker that he almost unanimously won the Rookie of the Year award in 2012 after averaging 18.5 points and 5.4 assists while shooting 46.9% from the field and 39.9% from the three-point line. Those aren't the usual numbers you see from a rookie, but that was just how good Irving was. From then on, Irving was marketed as the point guard for the future, not only for the Cavs, but for the entire NBA. He only got better as he aged and honed his skills, eventually becoming arguably the most skilled point guard in the NBA in terms of what he could do on the offensive end. Irving could dribble his way to the basket by manipulating his defender. He could create separation out on the perimeter with his handles to go for a pull-up mid-range shot or even a three-pointer. And for a point guard standing only 6'2", he could even post up and create shots using his footwork. He was so good that Phil Handy, who worked as an assistant coach for the Los Angeles Lakers, said that a 6'6" Irving would be just as good or probably even better than Kobe Bryant. At that point in his career, Irving was already doing things no player his age should be doing.
Trying to get it on a Kyrie.
Here comes Kyrie going to the work. Scores! .6 to go!
It was a testament to his incredible offensive skills, even though he was never the biggest or the most athletic player. Irving was an instant bucket and a difference-making point guard in the next two seasons, averaging 21.6 points and 6 assists from 2012 to 2014. He made the All-Star team both those years. But for as good as Irving was, there was something missing. He was yet to develop into a winning player, the type of star a team needs to take a franchise back to the playoffs. Irving had yet to make it to the postseason. Some said he wasn't good enough to be a true franchise player capable of taking a team to the promised land. Others said the Cavs simply didn't have the pieces to help him get the team back to the playoffs. Whatever the case, it didn't matter because Cleveland was about to turn the city's hopes around in 2014. On top of landing the 2014 top overall pick, which turned into Andrew Wiggins, the Cavs also secured the services of LeBron James, who made the decision to return to Cleveland after 4 seasons in Miami. He had won 2 titles with the Heat, but the prodigal son was now ready to come home to help the Cavs win the franchise's first title. This led to quick roster changes that catered to the king. The Cavs traded Wiggins to the Minnesota Timberwolves to acquire Kevin Love, an all-star power forward. But while it was great to have James and Love, some people said that Irving was the real difference-making card on that team. This was the first time Kyrie played with all-star level teammates since entering the league in 2011.
Game of 2, Kyrie Irving hitting it over Tony Parker.
During his first 3 seasons, he was basically a one-man show that the defense focused almost entirely on. He had trouble carrying an entire offense on his shoulders precisely because he didn't have help. But having LeBron attract defensive attention was going to make life easier for him. In turn, his presence was also supposed to make James's life better, because this was the first time in the Kings' career that he was playing with a superstar-level point guard. He had Dwayne Wade in Miami, but Wade was always more of a scoring shooting guard than a playmaker. But Irving was different because he could handle the ball, create plays for others, and stretch the floor with his shooting. With that, the Cavs were now expected to rule the East as championship favorites. Despite sharing the ball with other stars, Irving was better than ever during the 2014-15 season. His partnership with LeBron seemed flawless in the sense that they worked well together without having to wonder who needed to handle the ball and make plays. LeBron's ability to attract defense and generate offense worked perfectly with Irving's floor spacing and knack for destroying defenders one-on-one. So, by the end of the regular season, the Cavs won 53 games, with Irving averaging 21.7 points and 5.2 assists. He wasn't just an all-star, but also a member of the All-NBA third team in 2015. Irving's first playoff run wasn't easy because he was yet to taste the kind of defense and intensity the postseason had to offer. As such, it was more of a LeBron show for Cleveland as the Cavs made it all the way to the 2015 finals. It wasn't that Kyrie was bad during that run to the finals. Instead, it was more of a concern with his inconsistency and injuries. He didn't play that much during the Eastern Conference Finals because of injury problems. Now, entering the 2015 Finals, there was legitimate concern that the same injury he suffered against the Atlanta Hawks in the earlier round could affect him.
Irving falls down, hangs on.
True enough, his knee injury took a toll on him as he went down in the overtime period of Game 1, which was a loss for Cleveland. He never returned during the finals, eventually watching his team go down in 6 games. The consensus was that the Cavs had a legitimate shot of beating the Golden State Warriors in the 2015 finals had Irving been completely healthy. After all, they forced that team to 6 games on the strength of LeBron's one-man show. So, had the Cavs been healthy the entire series, things would have been different. And Kyrie proved that in 2016. But before he could do anything, Irving had to recover from a serious injury that hampered him throughout the 2015-16 season. He missed the first 2 months of the 2015 campaign to recover from his injury. But even after coming back late in December, he wasn't at his best. Through his first 20 games, Irving averaged 16.4 points on 42.6% shooting from the field, as it was clear that he wasn't at 100% yet. But as 2016 progressed, it was clear that Irving was steadily getting back to superstar form. He averaged 21.6 points on 46% shooting from the field in the final 33 games he played during the 2015-16 season. Kyrie's numbers dipped to 19.6 points, all because of the injury he suffered during the 2015 finals. Still, the Cavs won 57 games to lead the Eastern Conference that season. They were the favorites to make it out of the East once more, and that 2016 run to the title was going to be a legendary one for Irving. Despite all the doubts surrounding his knee and his health, Irving thoroughly destroyed the opposition in the first 2 rounds of the playoffs. He averaged 27.5 points on 47.1% shooting from the field to help the Cavs sweep the Detroit Pistons in the first round. Then, in the second round, he was just better as the Cavs also swept the Hawks. Things were a bit tougher in the East Finals when the Cavs met the Toronto Raptors. However, Irving did just enough to defeat that team, going for 24.2 points per game during that series and scoring 30 points in Game 6 to propel Cleveland back to the NBA Finals. Of course, waiting in the 2016 Finals were the Golden State Warriors, winners of 73 games during the regular season. At that point, they were the uncrowned champions of the league because the last team that won 70 games won the championship convincingly. The Warriors, of course, were better than ever, relying heavily on the greatness of Stephen Curry, the first player to win the MVP award unanimously. While this wasn't the first time Kyrie and Steph matched up in the finals, this was an interesting side story because those stars, at that point in their careers, had developed into the most skilled point guards in the NBA. They had plenty of similarities and differences in their games. Both were around 6'2" with slender frames. Neither Irving nor Curry was known for their athleticism. Instead, they were both great because of their transcendent skills and legendary handles. However, they approached the game differently.
Give them spacing. Irving for 3. Puts it in! Kyrie Irving from way downtown.
Curry's handles were also great, but he focused more on creating separation to generate enough room for his three-point shot. On the other hand, Irving was more of an all-around ball handler, capable of destroying defenses to get to the basket or create room for a pull-up jumper. Both players were known for their finishing abilities, with Curry being the best at finishing inside the paint by opening the floor up with his transcendent three-point shooting. Meanwhile, Irving was always the more creative finisher, capable of hitting impossible shots over any defender because of his incredible skills. But at that point, the consensus was that Steph was the better player, not only because of his stats, but also his hardware. And it looked like he and the Warriors were also a lot better than the Cavs after opening the series 2-0. That was when Irving took things personally. The series went back to Cleveland for the next 2 games, and it became clear that no one on the Warriors roster could keep up with Kyrie. Curry was never known for his defense, and the Warriors tried their best to keep him off of Irving. Meanwhile, as good as Klay Thompson was at defending other wings, he wasn't quick enough to keep up with Irving. This made it clear that the Cavs needed to allow Kyrie to be himself, and he delivered. Irving had 30 points in Game 3 to avoid an 0-3 hole. But while he had 34 in Game 4, the Cavs lost that game and went down a 3-1 deficit. No team had ever crawled out of a 3-1 deficit hole in the history of the finals.
Here's Irving. Steps back. Kyrie Irving.
But Irving was built for those challenges. Luckily for him and the Cavs, Draymond Green was out for Game 5 because of a suspension. Green was the Warriors' best defender, capable of keeping up with guards and defending big men. His ability to rotate to the basket was unmatched, allowing him to become that team's defensive anchor. But without Green in Game 5, Irving and James had a field day. The two superstars thoroughly dismantled the Warriors' defense. While other duos tend to combine for 40 or more points on a regular basis, both Kyrie and LeBron had 41 in that game. Yes, they combined for 82 points, with each player scoring 41. Irving, however, stole the show. He shot over 70% in what was a rare instance of a player scoring 41 points on 70% shooting from the field in the finals. This game set the tone for the rest of the series as the Cavs crawled their way out of a hole. Kyrie didn't have an explosive Game 6 performance, but it was more than enough to help his team force Game 7 in the Bay Area. This set the stage for one of the most memorable performances in the history of the finals. There were great plays from both teams in what was a tight game. James had a signature moment when he blocked Andre Iguodala's fast break layup attempt to keep the game tight. But with about a minute left in the game, and with both teams tied at 89, the Cavs decided to go to Kyrie Irving. Using a pick, he forced Curry to switch out on him as he kept Thompson, the better defender, off of him. This was the matchup Kyrie needed because, as great as Steph may be, he was never a good defender. Irving was dribbling the ball and sizing his man beyond the right wing. He dribbled closer and closer before using a series of moves that generated enough space at the three-point line.
Stolen by Love. Irving goes at Draymond Green, drives, layup, it's good.
Then, with all the confidence in the world, he used the separation to launch a three-point shot over the greatest three-point shooter in the history of the game. Even with Curry contesting that shot, it didn't matter. Kyrie's booming three-pointer went through the basket, giving Cleveland a three-point lead that the team never relinquished. Over at the other end, Kevin Love completed a surprisingly good defensive sequence on Stephen Curry as the Cleveland Cavaliers held onto their lead and completed the greatest comeback in finals history to win the 2016 NBA championship. LeBron James was the best player in that series, averaging 29.3 points, 11.3 rebounds, and 8.9 assists. He rightfully deserved the Finals MVP trophy. However, as good as that performance from the King was, there was no doubt that the most memorable play was that confident three-point shot from Kyrie Irving. He averaged 27.1 points on 46.8% from the field, thoroughly outplaying the unanimous MVP throughout the entire series. That 2016 Finals performance from Irving proved he was a wizard, and it catapulted him to heights greater than ever because people knew that the Cavs would not have won that 2016 championship had it not been for Irving's incredible performance. After averaging only 19 points during the regular season, he took his game to the next level by going for 25 points throughout the entire 2016 playoffs. So it was clear that Irving belonged to the upper echelons of the NBA's elite. Irving's career eventually took a series of ups and downs after that championship win. His partnership with LeBron James in Cleveland didn't last long, with him wanting to be the top guy on his own team. He eventually suffered injuries and became the subject of controversial stories in the next few seasons after leaving the Cavs. Irving became a polarizing figure in the league for his controversial beliefs and questionable decisions. Despite all that, nothing would ever change the fact that in 2016, he was the biggest wizard in the entire league with that clutch three-point shot.